Good morning, everybody. This is Mindful Movement with Chris. I'm Chris Kissel, and what we're doing today is learning how to open up your hips, and we're doing the front, the back, and the sides of the hip. Yes, we have all three components to this hip. So we're going to work through the hips, and mindful movement is a way to teach you how to contract muscles that takes away the tightness of other muscles. You don't, those tight muscles are actually your protection. They're an indicator that you have weakness somewhere. So we're going to eliminate weakness in the hips today and open those hips up. So let's get going. I want you to just have a seat on your mat and just feel where those sits bones are right under you. Feel those bones right under you. You might have to like squish some padding away or something, but really get into that seat. Get into feeling those sits bones right underneath you. Good job, good job. So right now, as we're sitting, I want you just to rotate your rib cage on top of your hips. But right now, I want you to keep those sits bones in contact with your mat. So we're not doing a big, huge rotation. We're just doing a little rotation because we want to keep those sits bones where they are. So tiny rotation here. And let's reverse that rotation. So we're just going around, going around. Remember, you're mindful of where those sits bones are, okay? Nice, nice. So let's open up the hips a little in slow motion. We're going to do a windshield wiper, which you often see like this. And we will be rotating off those sits bones with this, but we're going to slow it down. We're going to put it in slow motion. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit with your spine really tall. You can use your hands to prop you up, use your arms. Let's make sure those arms are working too today, but I want you to prop yourself up really tall. I want you to take your top of your head and pull it up towards the ceiling so you're not slumping down into your shoulders. Your ears are away from your shoulders. And from here, I want you to take your left leg and just drop it open towards the floor. Now take your right leg and pull it away from your left leg. So we're going to see how wide you can get your legs apart. Now, once you get to that part, what I want you to do is keep the left leg wide. It's going to come off the floor as you keep your legs wide and you rotate your right leg towards the floor. So now we're still sitting on those sits bones a little. You can come off a little. Once you get that right leg close to the floor, I want you to take the left leg and take it over to meet it. Remember, we're going in slow motion. As we move in slow motion, it gives our muscles a chance to know what we're trying to do. And it gives you a clue as to where the stickiness might be. So let's open that left leg back up as far as it'll go. Take it as far as it'll go. Once you stop here, you're going to let it rotate. You're bringing the right leg up. You're letting it rotate over towards your left leg. So it's slow motion here. Then let that right leg drop to the floor. Now, once again, keep your left leg glued to the floor as you open your right leg out as far as it'll go. Good job, good job. Now, once it's out as far as it'll go, you will allow that left leg to come up off the floor. You rotate the right leg to the floor, rotate it to the floor, and then we're going to drop that left leg to the floor. And let's bring it back up. Nice job, nice job. So when you're doing a traditional windshield wiper, you're just dropping side to side. No clue what muscles are feeling what. Sometimes your muscles are clicking in so fast they don't know what to do. So it's a good opportunity to slow it down, let the muscles know what they're supposed to be doing. And we're internally and externally rotating these hips. So we're going to take that a step farther into the internal and external rotation. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit with your leg. Your left leg is bent in front of you right here, okay? Then you take your right leg behind you. So your knees are lined up at the edge of your mat. So we've got a little triangle going here with our body. What we're going to do is we're going to pop up onto our knees. Before you do that, I want you to be mindful of what your neck and shoulder is doing. So you're going to take this hand, your left hand, and you place it behind you like a kickstand. Now I want you to have a nice big gap between your ear and your shoulder again. And when we rise up, I want you to keep that gap long. I want you to keep your arm pressed down really strong into the floor as you rise up. So let's go ahead and rise up. Push that arm strong into the floor. Now you're pushing the hips forward. And you might think, oh, this is great. I feel this nice stretch right here in the front of my hip. Well, yes, you do, but you've got to be mindful of what's creating that stretch and allowing that stretch. It's your ability to squeeze this backside, your gluteus maximus, the back of the hip. So right here, be mindful and squeeze the back of your hip, right here, your right hip. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. That's going to allow this to open more. This stays tight. If it doesn't know, this can work. This is hip extension. Your backside are your hip extenders. So I want you to squeeze your hip extenders, squeeze them, and let this open up really nice. Let that blood flow get in there. All right, let's sit down here. Now, I want you to be mindful of where your rib cage is moving. So just put your hands across your chest. And I want you to think of taking your right rib cage over to your left leg. So it's facing this way over your left leg as far as you can go. Now place your hand on the mat in front of your left leg. Keep that rib cage rotated. We don't have to worry about the neck and shoulders. They're going along for the ride. You're going to walk your hands out. Walk your hands out. And then get it to where you can get your elbows down on the floor. Nice. Good job. So we've got our rib cage. The right side of our rib cage is rotated towards our left leg. Be mindful of that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to internally and externally rotate this right hip. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your foot off the floor and place it back down. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. As we lift and lower, we're creating internal rotation of this right hip. So the hip, right up here at the ball in the socket, is rotating. Don't worry so much about what the foot and ankle are doing. We're using that as our lever to rotate our hip inward. All right, let's come up out of that before we do external rotation. Come out of that twist. You might want to counter twist a little bit. Once again, we're going to think of our right rib cage rotating, rotating, rotating over to the left leg. We're going to walk our hands back out. Nice stretch for the spine, for the diaphragm. Okay, now we're going to create external rotation of that hip. Be mindful of how this hip's working because you can compare it to the other one when we get over there. So what you're going to do for external rotation is you're going to lift your knee up off the mat. Keep your foot down, lift your knee. It won't go extremely high, but you're working the external rotators on the back side of the hip, the outside of the hip. They're right here, open and close. So they shorten as you open and they lengthen as you close. Open and close. Be mindful of where your rib cage is. Be mindful of your breath. And we're just opening and closing, lifting that knee up and down off the floor. Come on up out of that. Good job, good job. Let's switch legs. So we're going to do this all on the other side. So what you're going to do is you're lining your right leg up in front of you. Your left leg is bent behind you. Your knees are even. You're in a triangle. Remember, we're using this arm and shoulder area. We're keeping it strong. We're going to use our right arm as a kickstand. You're pushing it down into the floor, creating a nice big space between your ear and your shoulder. Keep that space. So go ahead and push your arm down into the floor. Rise up on your knees. Got a nice strong body, and you're opening this up. You want to open it a little more. Squeeze the glutes. Squeeze the backside. Squeeze it and let this muscle, let these hip flexors know we've got hip extenders on this backside and this gluteus maximus. So the more you squeeze the backside, the more open you're going to be in the front. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. When you contract, the opposing muscle gets to relax. So we're trying to relax this and contract this. Let that blood flow get through there. Good job. Come on down. You might have noticed a difference between your right and left side. That's normal. All right. So now the left side of our rib cage is going to rotate towards our right leg. So hands across your chest. Think of the rib cage rotating, rotating, rotating towards your right leg. Now place your hands on the floor. Keep that rotation of the rib cage. Keep your mind in the rib cage. Walk your hands out and drop down to your elbows. All right, doesn't that feel good? Okay. Now, once we're here, we're going to create internal rotation again. Internal rotation comes when we lift our foot off the floor. So go ahead and lift your foot up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. All right, let's come up out of that again. We're going to reset into that rotation because that rotation is very important too. Your hips can get stuck if your rib cage isn't allowed to move freely in rotation on top of your hips. So focus today is our hips. Let's go back into that rotation. The left side of your rib cage is rotating, rotating, rotating towards your right leg. And now you're going to go down. You'll walk your hands out so you can get your elbows on the floor. And now we're going to do external rotation. So for external rotation, you're going to lift your knee up off the floor. And external rotation is created by the back side of your hip. Lift your knee and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Good job, good job, good job. Let's go back up into that stretch up top. So use your arm, keep it real strong. We're going to do a little something for this left shoulder. So rise up again, rise up, squeeze that back side. You've got it. You know what you're doing. Open up this front side. Let's paint a little rainbow with our arm now. Just reach your arm over and back, and you can follow it with your head. Get your neck moving a little. Over and back. Over and back, over and back. Good job, good job. So let's switch sides so we can do that on the other side because it feels so yummy. So once again, your left leg is lined up in front of you, your right leg is back, your left arm is behind you. It's super strong. You're pushing it down into the mat. You're lifting yourself up high onto your hips, squeezing that backside to really increase the flexibility in the hip flexor, which gets so crimped up as we sit at our jobs all day long. So let's reach over and back, over and back. Follow it with your head. Find your hand. Watch it go over and back. All right, all right. So let's go face down. We're going to work on some more hip extension. So once we go face down on our mat, I want you to watch me first, and then you can get into position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little pillow with my hands. I'm going to place my forehead on my hands. I'm going to bend my left leg, and I'm going to curl my right toes under. And when I curl my right toes under, I am going to straighten my right leg so my knee pops up off the floor. Now from here, I'm going to lift my left knee up and down, up and down. So go ahead and get into position. You're going to be face down. Your forehead is on your hands. Your right toes are curled under, leg is straight. You're going to pop that right knee up off the floor. You're going to bend your left leg. And you're going to lift your left knee up and down, up and down. And just to add a little more to it, I wanted you to think where your belly button is as you lift. Pull your navel into your spine. Pull your belly button up off that mat. Keep your core really strong and lower. Let's just let that go down. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we're just going to switch it up. So your left toes are curled under. You're going to pop that left knee up off the floor. Bend your right knee. Place your forehead on your hands. And at this point, be mindful of where your belly button is. Pull your navel towards your spine as you're doing these lifts. So you're going to lift the right knee up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Good job, good job. All right, we're going to keep straight legs now, so you might want to peek at the camera again. We're going to do a little version of superhumans. So your arms will be extended long out in front of you. Your forehead is looking down at the mat. You don't have to have your face on the mat, just look down. And you're going to lift your right arm and your left leg and take it down, and then we're going to reverse that. So go ahead and get in position. Try to keep your neck as straight as you can, okay? Now, right arm, left leg, and take it down. Left arm, right leg, take it down. So you're squeezing the back side of these hips. This is what's making this work, okay? Think of the back side of the hips. Alternate opposite arm, opposite leg lift. It's not a high lift. Just lift until you feel a squeeze and lower it down. Lift and lower. And you might find one side's easier to lift than the other. And lower. Lift and lower. It's almost like we're swimming. Lift and lower. One more each side. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. All right. Let's just loosen up the back. We can do some just crisscrosses of our feet. Bend your knees. Just lift your feet, open up the hips, do a little crisscross. Good job. All right. If you have a yoga block or a pillow, please grab it now. I should have advised you in the beginning, and I didn't. But grab it if you have it. We're going to work the back side of the hips a little bit more. I want you to take your yoga block, place it between your knees. And I want you to slowly round down to the floor. So once again, we're thinking that navel. Where is it? Pull it into your spine. Roll it down. Roll it down. Roll it down. And take it down to the floor. Good job. So once we're here, I want you to establish your feet flat on the floor, because you're going to push a little into your feet as we do this. We're going to still work the back side of the hips. So what I want you to do here is I want you to squeeze the pillow or the yoga block together. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. You could even squeeze your knees together. Or you can just keep them apart and keep them in line with your hips. But I want you to push your feet flat into the floor. I want you to squeeze your glute cheeks, those butt cheeks. Squeeze them together now. Now lift them up off the floor. Lift them up. Lift them up. Hold them up there. The more you squeeze, the higher you're going to get. And once again, we're opening up these hip flexors. These guys need movement because they sit in a very contracted, bent state all day long. And lower down. Nice. So we're reversing that sit, okay? Push your feet into the floor. Get a gentle squeeze with your knees. Squeeze your glutes really hard and lift your hips up off the floor. Lift them up, lift them up, lift them up. Your gaze should be at the ceiling. And lower it down, lower it down, lower it down. And relax. Let's do that one more time. So gaze is at the ceiling, so your neck is in line with your spine and your head. You're squeezing your glutes together. You're pushing your feet into the floor. Firmly plant those feet into the floor. And then lift those hips up. Lift them up. Lift them up. See how high you can go. Keep squeezing those glutes. See how strong you are. You're strong. Squeeze. Push it up there. Squeeze it. Now keep that squeeze as you lower it down. We're going to keep that squeeze on both sides of this movement. And lower it down. Lower it down. All right. Let's get into the sides of the hips a little. So we're going to roll over onto our left side. And once you're here, I want you to stay up on your elbow because I want you to be able to see where your feet are. So line your feet up even with your hips, right there. And then you can take your arm and your side body down to the mat. You can have it here, or you can be all the way down like this. But my feet are lined up even with my hips. So if you need to come back up after you move, take a peek. My feet are right there, right even with my hips. Okay, coming all the way down wherever you're comfortable. Now I want you to see where your knees are lined up. So make sure your knees are lined up on top of your other. If your top leg is shorter, that means your hips are rotated back. Let's keep our hips even for this. So your feet are together. They're lined up with your hips. Now bring your knees even with each other. So then your hip placement right here is perfect. All right, from here, we're just going to open that leg and close it. These are clamshells. We're working the side of the hip here, as promised. The next moves will be for the front of the hip. Yes, we have a front side of our hip. We have a front side here. We have side, and we've been working the back. All right. We've been opening up the front again. So as you squeeze those knees back together, I want you to make sure they're lining up. So open as far as you can open without shifting your body. Now squeeze, watch your knees, squeeze back together so they're in line. Open that leg up, but don't be shifting back and forth. Squeeze and bring it together. Let's do that one more time. Open, open, open. And push it back together. All right, let's switch sides. So you're going to roll on your other side. You're going to be up on your elbow so you can see where your feet are. Your feet are right even with the back side of your hips. So your knees are a little bit forward in front of your body. You're going to go down to your side, either here or here, wherever you're comfortable. Now, you're going to make sure these knees are lined up. I see my top knee is shorter, so I'm going to shift my hips forward to make my knees even. And I'm going to be mindful of that. I'm going to be mindful of where these knees stay. So now, open up your leg. Feet stay together. And as you come back, make sure you're keeping your knees even when they get back together. So open, open, open. Nice, slow, controlled movements. And you're kind of pushing your leg back together like you've got something between your legs and you're pushing down on it. Open and squeeze. Open and squeeze. Keep those knees even as you go down. Open and squeeze. Good job. All right. So now we're going to flip over to our back. And this is where we're going to work the front side of the hip a little bit. We're going to work our iliacus. It's a muscle that lies behind this hip bone here and into the top of your leg. What I want you to do is take your right leg and place your foot on top of your knee. All right. Now from here, I want you to push your knee away from your body. Push your knee away from your body. Once you're here, your arms are just down to your side. Once you've got that foot pushed away from your body, I want you to straighten your leg to the ceiling. Straighten it as far as you can straighten it. So your leg is turned out. Now from here, flex your foot so your heel is pushing to the ceiling. Now I want you to keep that position of your leg, keep it turned out like that, and lower your leg down to the floor. Lower it down to the floor. And as you lower it, you might be able to straighten it out a little more if it wasn't all the way straight. And once you're to the floor, I want you to keep that leg turned out. I want you to lift it from the inside of the leg, lift it up, flex your foot, your heel's pointing to the ceiling, and you're going to take that heel, bend the knee, back to that knee and just relax. So we're keeping a strong contraction throughout this whole move. So let's do it again. You're going to push your knee away from you. You're going to flex your foot, pushing your heel away. You're going to straighten your leg as much as you can at this point. And as you lower down, you can continue to straighten your leg, but you're keeping your leg turned out. Turn it out. You're going to take your foot to the floor, nice and controlled. Keep your foot turned out. Keep your heel pushing away from you. Nice straight leg at this point. Lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. When you get as high as you can, bend that knee and bring that heel back to your leg. Let's do that one more time on this side, and then we'll do it on the other side. So I really want you guys to get the hang of this. This is external rotation, but it's also strengthening your iliacus and your psoas muscles. So push your knee away from your body. Flex your foot. Straighten your leg as much as you can at this point. Now start lowering it down, and as you lower, you can keep straightening your leg. Lower it, lower it, lower it. Nice and controlled. It's still turned out. The side of your foot, the outside of your foot is going to tap the floor. You're keeping your heel flexed. You're pushing your heel away from your body. You're lifting it up just like that. Lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. Nice. You're keeping the hips flat on the floor as we're doing this too. Bring the foot back to the knee. Good job. All right, let's just drop the knees from to side for a second. That was a lot of work for the whole body because you're stabilizing with your other leg. So you're working all parts of the hips with this. So this time we're going to turn it around, and I want you to go ahead and take your left foot and put it on your knee. And I want you to flex that foot. And go ahead and push that knee away from your body, just with your leg. Don't push it with your hand. Your hands are on the floor. Your shoulders are back and down. Your upper body and your hips are attached to the floor. The only thing moving is this left leg. So go ahead and straighten that left leg where you can go. Straighten it where you can go. Get it as straight as you can. Once you get it as straight as you can, I want you to lower it, and I want you to keep extending that leg. Keep making it straight. Both hips are on the floor. Straighten that leg. Once you get all the way down, the outside of that left foot's going to touch the floor. You're going to lift it straight up from there as high as you can go. Once you get it as high as you can go, you're going to bend again, and you're going to take that foot back to the right knee and relax. Okay, let's do it again. Push that right knee away from your body. Flex your foot. Straighten your leg. Straighten your leg. Straighten your leg. Keep your hips level on the mat. Now lower that leg down. Lower that leg down. You might hear a little pop or something. That's okay. Straighten your leg as you lower it down. Lower it down, lower it down, lower it down. Outside of the foot goes to the floor. Bring it up straight. It's still turned out. You're still working that inside front side of the hip. You're going to bring that foot back to your knee, and you're going to relax. We got one more of these, and then we're done. Push that knee away from your body. Flex your foot. Nice and strong through every bit of this movement. Straighten your leg. Straighten it, straighten it. Lower it down. Keep straightening the leg. Keep straightening it. Straighten it, straighten it, straighten it. Let the outside of that foot tap down to the floor. Once it does, keep lifting. You're keeping your strong body on the mat. Your legs turned out. Bring it as high as you can. Once you get there, bend the knee. Take the foot back to the other knee. Push the leg open and relax. All right, let's sit up. Good job. We work the front, back and side of those hips. Let's just give it a roll. And this time you can just roll around on those sits bones. Give them a little bit of a massage. Just roll around and roll the other way. Roll the other way. Massage those hips. All right, everybody. Give yourself a pat on the back. You did great. I hope your hips feel like they've got tons of blood flow. Thanks for being here this morning. Remember, mindful movement every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Thanks, guys.